Did you know that 60% of Americans say they feel emotionally drained after social interactions? Ever found yourself walking away from a conversation feeling like someone's negativity just stuck with you? It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if I told you there's a way to stay calm, in control, and protect your peace, no matter who you're dealing with? Welcome to Inner Fortress. Today we're diving into 13 powerful strategies inspired by Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that teaches us how to master our emotions and thrive in the face of challenges. Toxic people can disrupt your peace, but with these Stoic tools you'll learn to handle negativity with strength, grace, and resilience. By the end of this video, you'll have a practical step-by-step guide to keep your inner peace unshaken, no matter what life throws at you. And here's why you'll want to stick around. Each strategy is easy to apply in your daily life. Whether you're navigating difficult family dynamics, challenging workplace environments, or even your own inner critic. Plus, I'll share a powerful Stoic insight at the end to help you start your journey toward lasting tranquility today. So take a deep breath, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and let's build your inner fortress together. Ready? Let's begin. Let's start with the foundation, recognizing the toxic threats in your life. Picture this. You're the guard at the entrance to your own personal fortress, responsible for protecting your peace, health, and emotional well-being. But like any good guard, the first step is awareness. You need to know who or what is threatening your inner calm. Toxic people come in many forms. Maybe it's the coworker who always finds something negative to say about your ideas, or the relative who manipulates conversations to guilt you into doing what they want. Perhaps it's that friend who constantly complains, but never takes steps to improve their situation. Here's a Stoic insight to keep in mind. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that toxic behaviors only affect you if you let them. The power lies in your judgment, not theirs. So how do you recognize these threats? Look for patterns like constant criticism, emotional manipulation, or draining negativity. Think about this. Who in your life makes you feel deflated after every interaction? Start creating a mental map of these behaviors. This awareness is your future. Once you think you've landed on a summit, it's time to fortify your walls. Once you've identified the spread of the patriarchate, think of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, who ruled over a vast empire. This tyranny now maintained stability by enforcing clear rules and protecting the gardens, and in the same way, your emotional boundaries protect your inner world. Boundaries are about making it clear what behaviors you will and won't accept. For instance, if you have a friend who constantly complains and drains your energy, you might say, "I care about you, but I can't spend time on these negative conversations anymore. Let's focus on solutions instead." The key is communicating your boundaries with firmness, but also kindness. Use statements like, "I feel overwhelmed," when instead of "you always." This shifts the focus to how their actions affect you, without sounding accusatory. And remember, setting boundaries isn't a one-time event. Toxic people may push back, testing your limits. Stay consistent, and don't be afraid to reinforce your rules when necessary. Protecting your peace is a daily practice. Now let's talk about a game-changing technique for managing toxic interactions, the gray rock method. Imagine you're in the middle of a storm, and instead of reacting to the chaos, you transform into a plain, unremarkable rock. Boring, neutral, and unmoving. That's the mindset you need when dealing with someone who thrives on drama. Here's how it works. When a toxic person tries to provoke you, whether through insults, guilt trips, or sarcasm, respond in a calm, unemotional way. For example, if someone criticizes your choices, simply say, "That's interesting," and leave it at that. Don't engage or defend yourself. This approach disarms toxic individuals because they're looking for an emotional reaction. When you don't give them one, their power over you dissolves. Think of it as emotional judo. You're using their negativity against them by not doing it, letting it stick to you, but be prepared. Some people may escalate their behavior at first. Stay consistent, and eventually they'll realize their tactics don't work on you. Remember, your peace is worth it. Let's build on that with another Stoic-inspired, the broken record technique. Picture a record player stuck on the same groove, repeating the same line over and over. This strategy is all about calmly repeating your stance when someone tries to manipulate or wear you down. For example, let's say a family member is pressuring you to attend an event you're not comfortable with. You might say, "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it this time." If they persist, you repeat, "I understand, but I won't be attending." The key is to stay calm, unemotional and firm. Why does this work? Manipulative people thrive on shifting arguments and creating confusion. By sticking to your message, you take control of the conversation and refuse to be derailed. It's not about being confrontational, it's about protecting your time and energy. And remember what Epictetus taught us. Freedom comes from being able to say no without fear or guilt. The broken record technique is your way practicing that freedom. Here's a big one. Don't take the bait. Toxic people often cast out emotional hooks, hoping you'll bite. Maybe it's a snide remark about your choices, or a passive-aggressive comment meant to make you feel guilty. The bait is their way of dragging you into their drama. But here's the truth. You don't have to engage. As the Stoics teach, we can't control what others say or do, but we can control how we respond. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my energy? For instance, if someone says you never make time for me, instead of defending yourself, you could respond with something neutral like "I hear you." By refusing to engage emotionally, you take away their power. It's like watching a storm from inside a sturdy shelter. You see the chaos, but it doesn't touch you, and sometimes the best reaction is no reaction at all. Think about Marcus Aurelius, who faced constant criticism and challenges as emperor. Instead of reacting to every slight, he practiced restraint, focusing only on what truly mattered. Silence can be your greatest tool. When a toxic person hurls an insult or tries to provoke you, staying quiet sends a powerful message. It shows you're in control of your emotions and unwilling to stoop to their level. Imagine this. A tennis player serves the ball expecting a volley, but there's no one on the other side of the court. Their power disappears when there's no reaction to feed it. That's the power of non-reaction. It's not weakness, it's strength in action. Now that we've covered how to recognize toxic behaviors and manage interactions, let's move into strategies for creating space and healing. These practices will help you build emotional resilience and focus on what truly matters in your life. Let's face it, there are some toxic people you just can't avoid entirely. Maybe it's a coworker you see every day, or a family member at every holiday gathering. But here's the good news. While you might not have complete control over who you interact with, you do have control over how much time and energy you spend on those interactions. Think of this like a moat around your castle. You don't need to completely block everyone out, but you can limit who crosses the drawbridge and for how long. For instance, if a friend constantly complains or criticizes, try politely rescheduling your meetups or keeping conversations brief. You don't have to cut them off completely, but you can set limits to protect your peace. Practical example. Imagine you're at work and a colleague always corners you to gossip during your lunch break. Instead of getting stuck in that negativity, try bringing a book to read or politely excusing yourself to take your break elsewhere. It's a small change, but it reinforces your boundaries and protects your emotional energy. Reflection. Who in your life do you feel obligated to spend time with, even though it drains you? What small steps can you take to limit those interactions? While it's important to limit your exposure to toxic people, it's equally important to surround yourself with positive, uplifting individuals. Your support system, your Stoic phalanx, is your shield in this battle for inner peace. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." This doesn't mean cutting everyone else out, but it does mean prioritizing relationships that energize you rather than drain you. Think about the people in your life who inspire you, who encourage you to be your best self. These could be close friends, family members, or even an online community of like-minded individuals. The goal is to cultivate connections that help you stay grounded and resilient. Practical example, let's say you're feeling overwhelmed by negativity at work. Instead of dwelling on it, you could join a local hiking group or take a cooking class where you can meet new people who share your interests. These small steps can bring fresh, positive energy into your life. Reflection prompt. Who in your life makes you feel supported and valued? How can you spend more time nurturing those relationships? It's impossible to pour from an empty cup, and dealing with toxic people can drain that cup faster than you realize. That's why self-care isn't just a luxury, It's a necessity for maintaining your inner fortress. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of tending to your body and mind, reminding us that we are responsible for maintaining our own well-being for you. Self-care might mean meditating, journaling, or even taking a quiet walk in nature. The key is to find activities that recharge your emotional batteries and help you stay grounded. Practical tip: start small. Dedicate just 10 minutes a day to something that nourishes you, whether it's stretching, reading, or simply sitting in silence with your morning coffee. Over time, these small habits build a stronger foundation. For emotional resilience example, imagine ending a stressful day with 15 minutes of meditation. You light a candle, focus on your breath, and let go of the negativity you've absorbed throughout the day. This simple ritual can make a huge difference in how you feel. Reflection prompt: what's one activity you love to do, but haven't made time for lately? How can you incorporate it into your routine this week? Here's a hard truth. Toxic behavior is rarely about you. It's a reflection of what's happening within the other person. Their insecurities, fears, or frustrations. When someone lashes out or tries to bring you down, they're often projecting their own inner turmoil. Think of a dark cloud blocking the sun. That cloud isn't a part of you, and it doesn't define you. It's just passing through. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control, and that includes not taking things personally. Marcus Aurelius said it best: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Practical example: suppose a family member criticizes your choices. Instead of internalizing their words, remind yourself that their negativity is about them, not you. Respond with empathy. Or if needed, simply let their words pass like clouds in the sky. Reflection prompt: can you think of a time when you took someone's negativity personally? How might you reframe it next time? When someone you care about is toxic, it's tempting to step in and try to fix them. But here's the thing: real change comes from within. You can't force someone to see the world differently or to act with more kindness. It has to be their choice. The Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control, and that means letting go of the urge to take responsibility for someone else's behavior. Instead, lead by example. Show them what inner peace and emotional strength look like. Example: let's say a close friend is constantly negative. Instead of trying to change them, simply model positive behavior. Share what's working for you, like a book you've read or a mindfulness practice, and let them decide if they want to follow suit. Reflection prompt: are you carrying the burden of trying to fix someone in your life? What would it feel like to let that go? There are times when the best way to protect your peace is to walk away. This isn't about giving up. It's about recognizing when a relationship is doing more harm than good. Walking away doesn't have to mean dramatic exits or burned bridges. It could be as simple as reducing contact, declining invitations, or creating emotional distance. Seneca said, life is long if you know how to use it. Don't waste your precious time and energy on relationships that undermine your well-being. Practical example: maybe you have a friend who constantly belittles you. Instead of confronting them in anger, you could gradually reduce your interactions, politely decline meetups, or limit conversations to neutral topics. Over time, you'll create space for them. Transcripts provided by Transcription Outsourcing LLC. But for yourself, it's easy to feel guilt or shame for putting up with negativity for so long, or for not handling every interaction perfectly. But holding on to that guilt only weighs you down. Forgiveness in the Stoic sense is about letting go of what you can't control. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. This includes loving yourself enough to release resentment and move forward with a lighter heart. Example: picture yourself on a journey, carrying a heavy backpack filled with anger and regret. Now imagine setting that backpack down and walking away free and unburdened. That's what self-forgiveness feels like. Reflection prompt: what guilt or regret are you holding on to? How can you begin to let it go? Now that we've explored these 13 powerful Stoic strategies, I hope you're beginning to see just how much control you actually have over your inner peace. Life will always present challenges, whether it's toxic people, unexpected setbacks, or just the day-to-day stresses we all face. But as the Stoics teach us, the key to lasting tranquility lies within you. Let's bring it all together. Let's take a moment to revisit the tools you've added to your Stoic arsenal today. Remember, these aren't just ideas. You can use every single day to strengthen your inner fortress. Recognize the toxic threat. Start by identifying who or what is disrupting your peace. Awareness is your first defense. Build strong boundaries. Protect your emotional territory with clear, respectful limits. Practice the grey rock method. Stay neutral and unresponsive to negativity. Don't give toxic behavior the fuel it craves. Master the broken record technique. Repeat your boundaries calmly and consistently to stand firm. Don't take the bait. Choose not to react emotionally to provocations. The power of non-reaction, silence and stillness, can disarm negativity more effectively than words. Limit your exposure. Reduce the time and energy spent with toxic individuals. Build your support system. Surround yourself with uplifting, positive influences who inspire and encourage you. Prioritize self-care. Recharge your emotional batteries through practices that nourish your body and mind. Remember, it's not about you. Recognize that toxic behavior reflects their inner turmoil, not your worth. Don't try to fix them. Focus on your growth and let them take responsibility for their journey. Know when to walk away. Sometimes creating distance is the most compassionate choice for yourself. Forgive yourself. Release guilt and resentment. To move forward with a lighter heart. Each of these strategies is a step toward reclaiming your peace and building emotional resilience. The more you practice them, the stronger your inner fortress will become. As we close, I want to leave you with this thought. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about mastering your emotions so they don't master you. Toxic people will come and go, but your peace is something you can nurture and protect every single day. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. And that's exactly what these 13 strategies are about. Taking back your power one step at a time. Which strategy stood out to you the most? Was it setting boundaries, practicing non-reaction, or maybe focusing on self-care? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found these lessons helpful, please like this video and share it with someone who could benefit from Stoic wisdom. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, If Inner Fortress, for more practical advice and timeless insights. Stay tuned for our next video, where we'll dive into Marcus Aurelius' personal morning routine and how you can use it to start every day with purpose and peace. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic, and protect your peace. I want to leave you with a few practical ways to integrate these strategies into your daily routine. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy, it's a lifestyle. Here are 3 simple daily practices to reinforce what we've covered today. Start your day with reflection. Take 5 minutes every morning to ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How can I approach them with patience and resilience? This practice, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, helps prepare your mind for whatever comes your way. Carry a Stoic reminder. Write down a favorite Stoic quote or mantra and keep it in your pocket, wallet, or phone. When you're feeling overwhelmed, read it to center yourself. One of my favorites is Seneca's reminder. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Journal your experiences. At the end of the day, reflect on how you handled interactions. Did you maintain your boundaries? Did you let something go instead of reacting? Celebrate your progress and identify areas for growth. These small habits can have a big impact over time. Remember, Stoicism is a journey. It's not about perfection, but progress. Before we wrap up, let me share a quick story. A friend of mine was dealing with a particularly toxic coworker. This person would constantly criticize their work in front of others, undermining their confidence. My friend felt angry, embarrassed, and powerless until they discovered Stoicism. They started by using the grey rock method, responding to the criticism with calm neutrality. Then they set clear boundaries, telling the co-worker in private, "I'm open to constructive feedback, but I won't tolerate disrespectful comments." Over time, the co-worker's behavior changed, not because my friend fixed them, but because they refused to engage in the toxic cycle. This transformation didn't happen overnight, but it did happen, and it's proof that Stoicism works. Even in the toughest situations as you go about your day, remember that Stoicism is a practice. You don't have to get it perfect. Each time you choose to set a boundary, respond with calm, or let go of negativity, you're taking a step toward a more peaceful and resilient life. And here's the thing, the more you practice, the easier it gets. Soon, protecting your peace will become second nature. You'll find yourself feeling lighter, calmer, and more in control, no matter who or what comes your way. As we close out this guide, let's look at how you can seamlessly integrate Stoic principles into your daily life. Stoicism isn't just something you practice when things get tough. It's a way of life that helps you build resilience, clarity, and peace every single day. Let's break this down into 3 daily practices you can start implementing right away. Morning preparation, midday reflection, and evening review. Your morning sets the tone for the entire day, so why not begin with a Stoic mindset? Marcus Aurelius often began his day by reminding himself of the challenges he might face. In his meditations he wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." While that might sound a bit grim, his point was to prepare himself mentally, not to expect perfection from others, but to approach the day with patience and resilience. Here's a simple exercise you can try tomorrow morning. Take 5 minutes to reflect on the day ahead. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How can I respond calmly and with kindness? Choose one Stoic principle like staying calm in the face of negativity or setting boundaries, and keep it in mind as your guiding intention for the day. Let's say you know you'll have a difficult conversation at work. Instead of dreading it, prepare yourself by thinking, I can't control their reaction, but I can control how I respond with clarity and composure. This simple shift in perspective can make a huge difference. What's one way you can prepare yourself mentally for tomorrow? What Stoic principle will you focus on? Life moves fast and it's easy to get caught up in the chaos of the day. That's why it's so important to pause and reflect. The Stoics believed in taking regular breaks to evaluate their thoughts and actions, and you can do the same. Set aside just 5 minutes at lunch or during a break to check in with yourself. Ask, how have I handled challenges so far today? Am I living according to my values, or have I been pulled off course by negativity or distractions? This simple practice keeps you grounded and helps you course correct if needed. Try journaling your midday reflections. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just jot down a few sentences about what's going well and where you can improve. Over time, these reflections will become a powerful tool for personal growth. Let's say a coworker made a snide remark earlier and you found yourself getting upset. During your midday check-in, you might write, I let their words get to me, but I'll focus on staying calm and neutral for the rest of the day. This awareness helps you reset and approach the afternoon with a clearer mind. When was the last time you paused during a busy day to reflect? How might this practice help you stay aligned with your goals? At the end of the day, the Stoics believed in reviewing their actions and learning from their experiences. Seneca advised the greatest remedy for anger is delay, and that principle applies to all emotions. By reflecting on your day, you can identify moments where you stayed true to your values and moments where you can improve. Here's how you can conduct an evening review. Spend 5 to 10 minutes in a quiet space. Reflect on 3 questions. What did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I do differently tomorrow? End with gratitude. Think of one thing you're thankful for, no matter how small. Imagine you've had a tough day. During your review, you might reflect, I handled that argument with gratitude, but I got frustrated when someone cut me off in traffic. Tomorrow, I'll remind myself to pause before reacting in anger. By ending with gratitude, perhaps for a supportive friend or a peaceful moment, you shift your focus to the positive. What's one thing you're grateful for today? How can you carry that feeling into tomorrow? Let me share a quick story about someone who put these daily practices into action. A viewer of this channel, let's call her Linda, wrote to me recently. She told me about how she'd been struggling with a toxic family member who constantly criticized her choices. Every time they spoke, she felt drained and defeated. Linda started using the practices we're talking about today. She began her mornings by reflecting on her intention to stay calm and set clear boundaries. At midday, she checked in with herself, reminding herself not to take the bait. And in the evenings, she reviewed her interactions, celebrating small wins like staying composed during a tense conversation. Over time, Linda told me she felt stronger. The criticism didn't sting as much, and she found herself letting go of the resentment she'd been carrying for years. She even noticed that her calm and consistent boundaries started to shift the dynamic in their relationship. Linda's story is a reminder that Stoicism works, not just in ancient Rome, but here and now. In our everyday lives, can you relate to Linda's story? What's one small step you can take today to protect your peace? Now that we've explored these strategies and practices, let's take it one step further. I want you to think of your peace as a fortress, your inner fortress. Every wall, gate, and tower represents a different strategy for protecting your well-being. Take a moment to visualize it. The outer walls are your boundaries, keeping negativity at bay. The watchtowers are your daily practices like reflection and gratitude, helping you stay vigilant. The inner sanctum is your self-care, the safe space where you recharge and nurture your resilience. Exercise. Grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and sketch or describe your fortress. Label each part with the strategies that resonate most with you. For example, one wall might be labeled the grey rock method, while another is limit exposure. This visualization can help you stay focused and intentional about protecting your peace. Reflection. Prompt. What does your inner fortress look like? How will you strengthen it this week? As we wrap up, I want to remind you that protecting your peace is a journey. There will be days when it's easier and days when it's harder, but every small step you take builds your resilience and strengthens your inner fortress. If this video has resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Which strategy are you most excited to try? Have you had any experiences where Stoicism helped you handle a tough situation? Your story might inspire someone else on their journey. And of course, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who could use a little Stoic wisdom, and subscribe to Inner Fortress for more practical advice and timeless philosophy. We'll explore Marcus Aurelius's personal morning routine, a practice that's as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, stay strong, stay stoic, and protect your peace. We've covered a lot of ground in this video: 13 strategies, daily practices, and even building your inner fortress. But let's take a moment to focus on something vital. Stoicism isn't a one-time fix. It's not about picking up a few tools and hoping for the best. It's about committing to small, consistent actions that add up to lasting transformation. Remember, the Stoics didn't become resilient overnight. They practiced daily, reflecting on their actions and refining their approach. You can do the same by starting small and staying consistent. Let's zoom in on mornings again, because how you start your day shapes everything that follows. Here's a ritual inspired by Marcus Aurelius, adapted for modern life. Wake with gratitude. As soon as you wake up, think of one thing you're thankful for. It could be as simple as the warmth of your bed or the fresh start of a new day. Gratitude sets a positive tone for your morning. Example: I'm grateful for my health, for the opportunity to learn today, or for the loved ones in my life. Set your intention. Spend a minute reflecting on how you want to approach the day. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Choose one Stoic principle to focus on, like patience, kindness, or self-control. Practical tip: write this intention on a sticky note or your phone's lock screen to keep it top of mind throughout the day. Visualize challenges. This isn't about worrying or creating stress, it's about mentally preparing for the obstacles you might face. Marcus Aurelius called this Premeditatio Malorum, or premeditation of evils. Example: if you know you'll face a difficult conversation, visualize yourself responding calmly and assertively. Start with silence. Dedicate 2 to 5 minutes to a quiet activity like deep breathing, meditation, or journaling. This helps center your mind and create space for clarity before the day's noise begins. By following this ritual, you're not just reacting to life, you're taking control of your mindset and setting the stage for a more peaceful day. Reflection. Prompt: how do you currently start your mornings? What small change can you make to bring more stoic calm into your routine? The middle of the day can be chaotic. Errands, work deadlines, family responsibilities. It's easy to lose sight of your intentions. That's why having a midday anchor is so important. These are quick practices that help you pause, reset, and realign with your inner peace. Here are a few ideas to try. Take a Stoic walk. A short walk outside can work wonders. Focus on your surroundings, the feel of the breeze, the sounds of nature, or even the rhythm of your footsteps. This aligns with the Stoic idea of living in harmony with nature and being present in the moment. Pause to reflect. Take a moment to ask yourself, am I staying true to my values? If not, use this as a chance to course correct without judgment. Example, I've been feeling tense since that meeting. What can I let go of to feel lighter? Breathe with intention. Deep breathing is a simple yet powerful tool. The Stoics emphasize control over one's body as a pathway to emotional mastery. A quick breathing exercise is, like inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4 counts, and exhaling for 6, can help calm your mind and body. Set a reminder on your phone for midday reflection. Label it something like pause and realign to gently nudge you back to your intentions. Evenings are the perfect time for reflection and closure. The Stoics believed in ending the day with gratitude and self-assessment, not to dwell on mistakes but to learn and grow from them. Here's an evening practice you can try tonight. Review your day. Ask yourself 3 key questions. What went well today? Where did I fall short? What can I do better tomorrow? Release negativity. If someone upset you or things didn't go as planned, take a deep breath and remind yourself of Epictetus' wisdom. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Let go of what you can't control. End with gratitude. Write down one thing you're grateful for. This small act helps shift your focus to the positive and prepares your mind for rest. Let's say you had a disagreement with a friend. During your evening review, you might reflect, I stayed calm and didn't take the bait. I'm proud of that. Next time, I'll try to express my feelings more clearly. Then end with gratitude. I'm thankful for the chance to learn from this experience. What's one thing you're proud of from today? How can you build on that tomorrow? Now that we've built a foundation of daily practices, let's talk about how these strategies contribute to long-term growth. The Stoics believe that true peace isn't achieved overnight. It's the result of consistent effort and self-awareness over time. Here are 3 guiding principles to keep in mind. As you continue your Stoic journey, progress over perfection. The Stoics didn't expect perfection from themselves or others. Instead, they focused on daily improvement. If you slip up, don't dwell on it. Learn from the experience and move forward. Control what you can. This is the cornerstone of Stoicism. Focus on your actions, your thoughts, and your responses, not the opinions or behaviors of others. Find strength in adversity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger. When you face adversity, ask yourself, how can I use this to become better? Let's wrap up with a quick mental exercise you can use in any situation to ground yourself in Stoic principles. I call it the 3 C's of Stoicism. Calm. Pause before reacting. Take a deep breath and focus on staying composed. Clarity. Ask yourself, what's within my control right now? Let go of everything else. Compassion. Respond with kindness to yourself and others. Even toxic people are often acting out of their own pain. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, running late for an appointment. Instead of spiraling into frustration, apply the 3 C's. Calm. Take a deep breath and relax your shoulders. Clarity. Remind yourself, I can't control the traffic, but I can control how I respond. Compassion. Maybe the person honking behind you is having a tough day. Let it go and focus on getting there safely. As you move forward, remember that Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or becoming indifferent to life. It's about embracing life fully with courage, wisdom, and peace. By practicing these daily rituals and principles, you're not just protecting your peace, you're creating a life filled with meaning and strength. I want to leave you with this thought. Stoicism is like a muscle. The more you practice, the stronger you become. And with time, you'll find that the challenges that once seemed overwhelming no longer have the same hold on you. What's one Stoic practice you'll commit to trying this week? How do you think it will impact your day-to-day life? By learning to stop people-pleasing and start respecting your own needs, you take a crucial step toward becoming the master of your own life. Remember, true kindness isn't about sacrificing yourself for others. It's about giving from a place of strength, not obligation. Ask yourself today, am I respecting my own needs? Or am I constantly prioritizing others at my expense? If it's the latter, start small. Say no to one thing that doesn't serve you and notice how it feels. Over time, you'll build the strength and confidence to stand up for yourself without guilt or hesitation. Lesson 2. Cut the constant apologies. Do you catch yourself apologizing for things that don't really require an apology? Maybe you say, "I'm sorry," when someone bumps into you, or you apologize before asking a simple question. While apologizing is important in certain situations, over-apologizing can weaken your confidence and signal to others that you don't value yourself as much as you should. When you constantly apologize, you unintentionally send a message that you're at fault or that your presence is inconvenient. Over time, this habit can undermine your self-respect and cause others to take you less seriously. Apologizing too much also creates an internal belief that you're always in the wrong, which can erode your self-esteem and make it harder to assert yourself. Of course, genuine apologies are necessary when you've made a mistake or hurt someone, but apologizing for things that aren't your fault or for simply existing does more harm than good. Instead of saying, "I'm sorry" out of habit, start practicing assertive communication that respects both you and the person you're speaking to. Here's a simple strategy. The next time you feel the urge to apologize for something minor, pause and ask yourself, is this really something I need to apologize for, or am I just filling the silence? If it's unnecessary, try replacing "I'm sorry" with a more neutral or positive phrase. For example, instead of saying "sorry for bothering you," say "thank you for your time." Instead of "I'm sorry I'm late," say "thank you for waiting." By shifting your language, you maintain respect for the other person without diminishing your own. This small change helps you communicate confidently and reinforces your self-worth. Over-apologizing isn't just about words, it's about mindset. Start paying attention to how often you say sorry in situations where it's not needed, and remind yourself that you have a right to take up space and express your needs without guilt. Assertiveness doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means respecting yourself while respecting others. The Stoics believed in controlling what you can and letting go of what you can't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Constantly apologizing for things outside your control only drains your energy. Instead, focus on what you can control: your words, your actions, and your attitude toward yourself. Ask yourself, am I apologizing because I've done something wrong, or am I apologizing out of habit? If it's the latter, start practicing more assertive communication. Over time, you'll notice a shift not just in how others perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. You'll feel more confident, more respected, and more in control of your interactions. Remember, cutting out unnecessary apologies doesn't mean ignoring your mistakes. It means valuing yourself enough to know when an apology is truly needed. By doing so, you'll strengthen your self-respect and communicate in a way that reflects your true worth. Lesson 3. Set boundaries and own your space. Have you ever said yes to something you didn't want to do, just to avoid conflict or disappointing someone? Or perhaps you felt uncomfortable in a situation, but stayed silent because you didn't want to appear difficult. If so, it's likely that you need to work on setting boundaries, an essential skill for protecting your self-respect. Boundaries are the invisible lines that define what's acceptable and unacceptable in your life. They help you protect your time, energy, and emotional well-being. Without clear boundaries, you end up feeling drained, resentful, and overlooked because you're constantly giving more than you should. Setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's an act of self-respect. It shows others that you value yourself and won't tolerate behavior that compromises your well-being. One of the biggest misconceptions about setting boundaries is that it's about pushing people away or being harsh. In reality, boundaries are about mutual respect. Respecting yourself enough to communicate your needs and respecting others enough to be clear with them. Healthy boundaries create stronger, more balanced relationships because they prevent misunderstandings and resentment. Here's a simple way to start. Identify one area in your life where you feel your boundaries are being crossed. It could be at work, with friends, or even with family. Once you've identified it, think about what behavior you're uncomfortable with and how you can assert your boundary in a calm, respectful way. For example, if a colleague regularly interrupts your work with non-urgent requests, you could say, "Kanti, I'm happy to help, but I need to finish this task first. Can we discuss it later?" If a friend always expects you to be available, you might say, "I care about you, but I also need time for myself. I won't always be able to say yes." At first, setting boundaries might feel awkward or even scary, especially if you're used to putting others' needs first. But over time, you'll notice something powerful. People will start to respect you more because you respect yourself. Those who genuinely care about you will appreciate your honesty, and those who don't may drift away, making room for healthier relationships. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is learning to say no without guilt. Many people fear that saying no will make them seem rude or unkind, but in reality, saying no when something doesn't serve you is an act of self-care. You don't have to explain or justify your no. Sometimes a simple, polite "I can't right now" is enough. The Stoics believed in the importance of guarding one's mind and energy. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." By setting boundaries, you're creating space for what truly matters in your life. Whether it's personal growth, meaningful relationships, or simply peace of mind. Here's something to reflect on. Where in my life am I saying yes when I really want to say no? Choose one instance where you can start practicing boundaries this week. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but remember, setting boundaries is a skill, and like any skill, it gets easier with practice. Remember, you're not responsible for how others react to your boundaries. You're responsible for your own well-being. By setting boundaries and owning your space, you're making a powerful statement. I value myself, and I won't compromise my self-respect for the comfort of others. And that's one of the most important steps you can take toward building lasting self-respect. It's a life where you can build stronger relationships, achieve your goals with confidence, and create a future that reflects your true potential. The next step is to embrace these practices and commit to a path of thoughtful and deliberate decision-making. As you cultivate a life guided by wisdom and thoughtful decision-making, it's crucial to acknowledge how unchecked anger can stifle your creativity and innovation. Anger can create mental blocks, hinder your ability to think outside the box, and prevent you from tapping into your full creative potential. When anger dominates your emotional landscape, it consumes a significant portion of your mental energy. This constant preoccupation with negative thoughts and feelings leaves little room for creative thinking. This is the life that awaits you when you learn to manage your anger and cultivate a more open and curious mindset. It's a life where you can achieve your creative goals, collaborate effectively with others, and contribute to the world in meaningful and innovative ways. The next step is to embrace these practices and commit to a path of creativity and innovation. As you embrace your creativity and open your mind to new possibilities, it's important to consider another profound impact of unchecked anger: its potential to undermine your sense of purpose and fulfillment. Anger can cloud your vision, distract you from your goals, and prevent you from living a life aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. When anger becomes a dominant force, it can consume your thoughts and energy, leaving little room for introspection and self-discovery. This constant preoccupation with negative emotions can make it difficult to connect with your inner desires and passions. Instead of pursuing meaningful activities and goals, you might find yourself stuck in a cycle of reacting to immediate frustrations and grievances. This reactive approach to life can leave you feeling unfulfilled and disconnected from your true purpose. Consider how anger can distract you from your long-term goals. Achieving meaningful objectives requires focus, dedication, and a clear sense of direction. However, when you're frequently angry, your attention is often diverted to addressing the sources of your anger. This distraction can prevent you from making consistent progress towards your goals and undermine your sense of achievement. Instead of moving forward, you might find yourself constantly putting out fires and dealing with setbacks caused by your anger. Anger can also erode your motivation and drive. When you're consumed by negative emotions, it's hard to find the enthusiasm and energy needed to pursue your passions. This lack of motivation can lead to procrastination and a sense of stagnation where you feel stuck and unable to move forward. Over time, this can create a sense of hopelessness and resignation where you start to believe that your goals are unattainable and that your efforts are futile. Moreover, anger can create a sense of isolation and disconnection from others, which further undermines your sense of purpose. Meaningful relationships and connections are often a crucial part of feeling fulfilled and purposeful. However, anger can strain these relationships and create barriers to genuine connection. When you're isolated and disconnected, it's harder to find the support and encouragement needed to pursue your goals and live a fulfilling life. To reclaim your sense of purpose and fulfillment, it's essential to address the underlying causes of your anger and develop strategies to manage it effectively. One powerful approach is to engage in regular self-reflection and introspection. Take time to explore your values, passions, and long-term goals. Reflect on what truly matters to you and what you want to achieve in life. This self-discovery process can help you reconnect with your inner desires and create a clear vision for your future. Developing a sense of gratitude can also enhance your sense of purpose. Gratitude involves recognizing and appreciating the positive aspects of your life, even in the midst of challenges. By focusing on what you're grateful for, you can shift your perspective away from anger and towards a more positive and fulfilling outlook. Keeping a gratitude journal, where you regularly write down things you're thankful for, can be a powerful tool in this process. Building a supportive network of friends, family, and mentors can provide the encouragement and guidance needed to pursue your goals. Surround yourself with individuals who uplift and inspire you, and who can offer valuable insights and support. Focusing on what matters also means prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being. The Stoics believed that true happiness and confidence come from inner peace, not external success. If you're constantly chasing external validation, you'll find that your confidence is always at the mercy of others' opinions or external outcomes. But when you focus on cultivating inner peace through practices like mindfulness, self-reflection, and gratitude, you build a sense of confidence that is unshakable because it comes from within. Let's consider the practice of mindfulness, which aligns closely with Stoic teachings. Being mindful means being fully present in the moment and focusing your attention on what's happening right now, rather than being caught up in worries about the past or the future. When you practice mindfulness, you're better able to focus on what truly matters in the present moment. Whether that's a conversation with a loved one, a task at work, or simply enjoying a quiet moment of reflection. This ability to be fully present strengthens your confidence because it allows you to engage deeply with life rather than being distracted by things that don't matter. The Stoics also emphasize the importance of letting go of what doesn't matter, specifically things outside of our control. Epictetus famously taught that we should focus only on what we can control and let go of everything else. This is a powerful lesson for building confidence because it teaches us to stop worrying about external circumstances or outcomes that are beyond our control. When you stop trying to control things you can't change, you free up your energy to focus on the things you can, your actions, your thoughts, and your decisions. For instance, many people feel insecure or anxious about the future because they're trying to control things that are outside their influence, whether it's other people's opinions, the economy, or the outcomes of their efforts. The Stoics would encourage us to focus instead on what we can control: our preparation, our attitude, and how we respond to challenges. By focusing on these internal factors, we build confidence because we know that we've done our best regardless of the outcome. In conclusion, focusing on what matters is a crucial Stoic lesson for boosting confidence. When you align your focus with your values, prioritize your inner peace, and let go of distractions and things outside of your control, you create a strong foundation for self-assurance. Stoicism teaches us that confidence doesn't come from external achievements or validation. It comes from knowing that we're dedicating our time and energy to what truly matters. By practicing mindfulness, self-reflection, and simplicity, you can cultivate a deep sense of confidence and purpose that will guide you through life's challenges. Self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools we have for personal growth and for building lasting confidence. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on the practice of regular self-reflection because it helps us gain clarity about our actions, thoughts, and emotions. By reflecting on our experiences, we can learn from our mistakes, celebrate our successes, and make adjustments that align us more closely with our values and goals. The Stoic philosopher Seneca believed in the importance of daily reflection. He recommended that at the end of each day, we should take time to review our actions, asking ourselves what we did well, where we fell short, and how we can improve. This kind of reflection isn't about self-criticism or judgment. It's about learning and growing. Seneca wrote, "We should every night call ourselves to account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired?" This practice allows us to continuously refine our character and build confidence from knowing that we are always working to become better versions of ourselves. Through self-reflection, we develop a deeper understanding of who we are, what drives us, and what areas need attention. This clarity is key to building confidence because it gives us a roadmap for personal growth. When you know where your strengths lie and where you need to improve, you can make intentional choices to work on those areas, which boosts your self-assurance. Instead of feeling lost or unsure, you're empowered with the knowledge of how to move forward. Self-reflection also helps us identify patterns in our behavior that may be holding us back. For instance, if you notice that you tend to react defensively in certain situations or avoid taking risks because of fear, you can begin to work on changing those habits. By acknowledging these patterns through reflection, you take the first step toward breaking free from them. Over time, this leads to a greater sense of control over your actions and decisions, which naturally enhances your confidence. One of the key principles of Stoic philosophy is the idea that we should focus on what's within our control and let go of everything else. Self-reflection helps us apply this principle to our daily lives by encouraging us to examine our reactions to the things that happen around us. For example, after a difficult conversation or challenging situation, you might ask yourself, how did I handle that? Did I focus on what I could control? Or did I let my emotions get the better of me? This kind of reflection helps you become more mindful of your reactions and teaches you to respond to life's challenges with greater calm and clarity. Self-reflection is not only about analyzing your actions, but also about examining your thoughts and emotions. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently wrote about the importance of understanding his own mind. He believed that our thoughts shape our experience of life, and that by reflecting on them, we can cultivate a mindset that aligns with our values and goals. Marcus wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By regularly reflecting on your thoughts, you can identify negative patterns such as self-doubt, fear, or judgment, and work to replace them with more constructive and empowering beliefs. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't handle this," self-reflection allows you to challenge these thoughts and reframe them. Instead of letting negative thoughts erode your confidence, you can reflect on past experiences where you've succeeded or overcome challenges, and remind yourself that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. This process of reframing negative thoughts is a powerful way to build resilience and self-confidence. Another benefit of self-reflection is that it helps you stay true to your values. The Stoics believed that living in accordance with your values is essential for a fulfilling and confident life. By regularly reflecting on your actions, you can ensure that you're living in alignment with your principles. This might mean asking yourself questions like, did I act with integrity today? Was I kind and just in my interactions with others? Did I stay focused on my goals, or did I get distracted by things that don't matter? This kind of reflection keeps you grounded in your values, which strengthens your confidence because you know you're living authentically. One of the most practical ways to incorporate self-reflection into your daily routine is through journaling. Keeping a journal allows you to track your thoughts, actions, and progress over time. It gives you a space to reflect on your experiences, set goals, and analyze your reactions to life's challenges. Many Stoic philosophers, including Marcus Aurelius, use journaling as a way to practice self-reflection and gain insight into their inner lives. By writing down your reflections each day, you create a record of your growth and a tool for continuous self-improvement. Let's consider an example of how self-reflection can boost confidence. Imagine you're preparing for an important presentation at work. In the days leading up to it, you feel anxious and unsure of yourself. Instead of letting those feelings undermine your confidence, you take time to reflect. You ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What's the worst that could happen? What have I done in the past that prepared me for this? Through this process, you realize that you've successfully given presentations before and that your preparation has set you up for success. This self-reflection not only calms your nerves, but also reinforces your belief in your own abilities. In conclusion, practicing self-reflection is a crucial Stoic lesson for boosting confidence. By regularly examining your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you gain valuable insights into your strengths and weaknesses, which helps you grow and improve. Self-reflection also helps you stay aligned with your values, break negative patterns, and cultivate a mindset that fosters confidence and resilience. Through daily reflection, whether through journaling or simply taking time to think, you can build a deep sense of self-assurance that will guide you through life's challenges. Resilience is one of the most essential qualities for navigating life's challenges with confidence, and it is a central concept in Stoic philosophy. Life is full of obstacles, setbacks, and unexpected events, but how we respond to these challenges determines whether we become stronger or feel defeated. The Stoics teach us that true resilience comes from focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot. Epictetus reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This Stoic teaching is at the heart of resilience. While we cannot always control the circumstances we face, whether it's a personal failure, a health issue, or a difficult relationship, Epictetus reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. We have complete control over how we respond. By choosing to view challenges as opportunities for growth rather than as insurmountable problems, we build the mental and emotional strength to face adversity with confidence. Building resilience means cultivating the ability to bounce back from difficulties. It's not about avoiding pain or discomfort, but learning to endure them with grace and clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful Stoic principle teaches us that obstacles are not meant to be avoided, but embraced as part of our journey. Each challenge we face provides an opportunity to develop our resilience, grow stronger, and become more confident in our ability to handle future difficulties. Consider a common situation in which resilience is necessary: losing a job. For many, this experience can be overwhelming and lead to feelings of failure, self-doubt, and fear about the future. However, through the lens of Stoicism, losing a job can be seen not as a failure, but as an opportunity for growth and reinvention. The Stoics would advise us to focus on what we can control, our next steps, how we use our time and our mindset, rather than dwelling on the loss itself. By approaching the situation with resilience, we can turn what seems like a setback into a new beginning. Another key aspect of building resilience is accepting that life is unpredictable. The Stoics practiced Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils, which involves mentally preparing for worst-case scenarios. By considering what could go wrong, Stoics were better equipped to handle challenges with composure when they arose. This practice doesn't mean dwelling on negativity, but rather acknowledging that hardships are a natural part of life. When you mentally prepare for adversity, you're less likely to be caught off guard and more likely to respond with resilience when difficulties arise. Let's take the example of someone training for a marathon. They know that along the way they will face physical fatigue, injury, or moments of doubt. Instead of fearing these obstacles, they anticipate them and develop strategies to overcome them. Whether it's through physical conditioning, mental toughness, or learning to pace themselves. This is resilience in action. By preparing for challenges and accepting them as part of the process, they build the strength to push through when things get tough. The same principle applies to life. When we build resilience by accepting that setbacks are inevitable, we gain the confidence to face them head-on. Resilience is also about maintaining a positive mindset in the face of adversity. The Stoics believed that our perception of events shapes our experience of them. Seneca said, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." This highlights the power of our thoughts in shaping our reality. When we view challenges as insurmountable, we feel overwhelmed and defeated. But when we see them as opportunities for growth, we approach them with a sense of purpose and resilience. By choosing to maintain a positive outlook, even in difficult times, we build the mental toughness needed to overcome adversity. In addition to mental resilience, the Stoics emphasize the importance of emotional resilience. Life's challenges can trigger a range of emotions: anger, sadness, frustration, or fear. While it's natural to feel these emotions, the Stoics teach us not to let them control our actions. Epictetus advised, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This means focusing on what you can do and accepting what you cannot change. Emotional resilience involves acknowledging your feelings, but not allowing them to dictate your response. By practicing emotional self-control, you build the resilience to face challenges with calm and clarity. Let's consider a real-life example of resilience. Think about someone who has faced a major setback, such as a serious illness or the loss of a loved one. While these experiences are incredibly painful, those who practice resilience are able to move forward by focusing on what they can control, whether it's taking care of their health, finding support from loved ones, or adjusting to their new reality. This doesn't mean ignoring the pain, but rather accepting it as part of life's journey and using it as fuel to become stronger and more resilient. In conclusion, building resilience is a fundamental Stoic lesson for boosting confidence. Life will inevitably bring challenges, but it's how we respond to those challenges that determines our strength and growth. By focusing on what we can control, accepting adversity as part of life, and maintaining a positive mindset, we can develop the resilience needed to face difficulties with confidence. The Stoics remind us that every obstacle is an opportunity for growth, and by embracing this mindset, we can build the inner strength to handle whatever life throws our way. Embracing this journey means being open to learning, adapting, and evolving as we gain more experiences. It's about recognizing that wisdom isn't static. It deepens and expands as we continue to engage with the world and reflect on our interactions. Moreover, embracing the long-term journey aligns with the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. This isn't about resignation, but about empowerment. It frees us from the unnecessary stress of trying to control the uncontrollable and allows us to invest our energy in actions and attitudes that truly enrich our lives and the lives of those around us. In practical terms, this might mean choosing to invest time in relationships that are nurturing and supportive, pursuing careers that align with our values, or dedicating ourselves to causes that we believe in. Each choice is a brick in the foundation of a life well lived, a life that reflects our deepest convictions and highest aspirations. Thank you all for joining me today in exploring these Stoic principles. Remember, the journey is long, but each step is a chance to reinforce who we are and what we stand for. By adopting a Stoic mindset, we learn not only to withstand the trials of life, but to approach them in a way that enhances our understanding of ourselves and our capabilities. Habit 3. The power of choice. Now that we understand that our emotions stem from our judgments and not the events themselves, let's delve into the profound Stoic principle of choice. This isn't about choosing what happens to us, that's often beyond our control, but choosing our response. And believe it or not, in that choice lies our freedom and power. The Stoics teach us that between the stimulus and the response there is a space. In this space lies our power to choose our response. This idea is incredibly empowering. It means that no matter what life throws at us, we have the last say on how we respond. Whether it's a rude comment, a financial setback, or a personal loss, our emotional response is ours to choose. Think about it this way. Life is like a complex dance. Events come at us in quick succession, and our emotions can react just as quickly. But like a skilled dancer who decides which steps to take on the dance floor, we can choose how to move with, around, or away from our emotional impulses. This doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. Rather, it's about acknowledging them and deciding the best course of action that aligns with our values and long-term goals. The key to making this practical is to develop what the Stoics called prosopsis, or mindful attention. It's about being aware in the present moment, recognizing our emotional triggers as they arise, and consciously deciding how we'll respond. By practicing mindfulness, we can widen that space between stimulus and response, giving us the time to choose our actions wisely. This power of choice is what enabled Stoic philosophers like Seneca to remain tranquil in times of extreme stress. Seneca suggested that we should rehearse worst-case scenarios in our minds, not to dwell on them, but to diminish the intensity of our reactions when faced with actual challenges. By doing so, we become less reactive and more responsive. Moreover, embracing this Stoic approach helps us build resilience. Resilience doesn't come from avoiding challenges, but from facing them with clarity and determination. Every time we choose a response that keeps us aligned with our goals, we strengthen our ability to handle future challenges more effectively. Habit 4: Techniques for action over emotion. As we delve deeper into the Stoic practice, it becomes clear that knowing you have a choice isn't enough. You need effective strategies to exercise that choice wisely. Here are some time-tested techniques drawn from Stoic wisdom that can help you choose your actions over your emotions, turning potential turmoil into triumph. One pivotal technique involves the simple yet powerful act of pausing when an emotion flares up. Imagine you're in a heated discussion. Instead of immediately reacting, give yourself a moment. This pause is a buffer, giving your rational mind time to wake up and process the situation. During this brief interlude, you can assess the emotion. Is it anger, frustration, fear? Acknowledging what you feel can diminish its overwhelming power, allowing you to respond rather than react. Another Stoic strategy is to reframe your thoughts about the situation. This cognitive reframing involves shifting your perspective to see the event differently. If someone cuts you off in traffic, instead of getting angry and assuming malicious intent, you might consider other explanations, perhaps they are rushing to an emergency. Changing your narrative about the event can change your emotional response to it, helping you maintain your composure and perhaps even empathize with the other person. Values-based decision-making is another cornerstone of Stoic practice. Here you make decisions based on your core values, not fleeting emotions. Ask yourself, does reacting with anger align with my values? What would the best version of myself do in this situation? By aligning your actions with your values, you ensure that your responses contribute to the person you aspire to be, rather than a momentary emotional state. Emotional acceptance is crucial too. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to feeling bad. It means accepting that you're feeling a certain way without judgment or immediate reaction. Acceptance allows you to understand your emotions better and manage them proactively. It's like observing the clouds as they pass by in the sky. Notice them, but don't get carried away by the storm. Each of these techniques isn't just about handling a particular emotional moment. They're about cultivating a life where you consistently choose actions that reflect your rational and reasoned decisions. Practicing these techniques regularly can turn them into habits, fundamentally changing how you interact with your emotions and the world. As you integrate these practices into your daily life, you'll find that not only do your emotional responses become more balanced, but your overall sense of well-being improves, allowing you to live more fully in alignment with your Stoic principles. Habit 5. Benefits of choosing actions over emotions. When we choose our actions consciously, aligning them with rational thought rather than fleeting emotions, we cultivate an inner stability that is apparent to those around us. This stability makes us more reliable and trustworthy. In personal relationships, this can deepen bonds as loved ones see us as pillars of strength, capable of supporting them emotionally rather than reacting impulsively to stressful situations. It means that in times of conflict or tension, instead of escalating the situation with emotional reactions, we contribute to resolving it, enhancing the quality and depth of our connections. Professionally, the ability to stay calm and collected under pressure is invaluable. In the workplace, emotions can run high, but the capacity to maintain composure sets leaders apart. This isn't about suppressing emotions, but rather managing responses in a way that is considered and constructive. Decisions made in this state are typically more strategic and thoughtful, leading to better outcomes and demonstrating a level of leadership that is respected and often emulated. Furthermore, choosing actions over emotions leads to personal resilience and mental toughness. The Stoics believed that our greatest trials are opportunities for growth. By facing challenges with a calm and composed demeanor, we train ourselves to handle future stresses with greater ease. This resilience can dramatically improve our overall well-being, reducing feelings of anxiety and depression, and increasing our life satisfaction. Essentially, we're not just reacting to life's challenges, we're actively shaping our journey through them. Another significant benefit is the development of self-awareness and self-regulation. These skills allow us to understand our emotional triggers and effectively manage them. This awareness then extends beyond ourselves, improving our empathy and understanding of others' emotions. With this enhanced perception, we can navigate social interactions more skillfully, adapting our responses to suit different situations and personalities. The practice of choosing actions over emotions equips us with tools not just to survive in our world, but to thrive. By embodying the principles of Stoicism, we don't just go through life. We grow through life, continually improving ourselves and positively impacting those around us. Habit 6. Overcoming challenges. Mastering your emotions and consistently choosing rational actions over impulsive reactions is no small feat. It's a profound challenge that requires dedication, patience, and resilience. In this journey, as Stoicism teaches us, we encounter numerous obstacles that test our resolve and our ability to apply philosophical principles to real-life situations. One of the first challenges many of us face is the intensity and immediacy of our emotional reactions. Emotions are powerful and can overwhelm even the most dedicated practitioners of Stoicism. They can surge quickly and unexpectedly, driven by deep-seated habits and instincts that have been reinforced over a lifetime. The key to overcoming this challenge isn't to suppress these emotions, but to acknowledge their presence without allowing them to dictate our actions. This requires a high level of self-awareness and the ability to pause and reflect in the heat of the moment, a skill that is cultivated through consistent practice and mindfulness. Another significant challenge is maintaining consistency in applying Stoic practices. It's one thing to remain calm and composed in a controlled environment, but it's entirely another to do so under stress in the face of adversity, or during an unexpected crisis. The Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum, which involves visualizing and mentally preparing for potential difficulties, can be incredibly helpful here. This exercise strengthens our mental resilience by familiarizing us with adversity before it occurs, reducing the shock and discomfort when challenging situations inevitably arise. Furthermore, there's the challenge of skepticism, both internal and external. Internally, you might doubt whether Stoic principles can truly make a difference in the face of real-world problems. Externally, peers or societal norms might question or undervalue the importance of emotional regulation, viewing it as unnecessary or overly philosophical. Overcoming this skepticism involves demonstrating the practical benefits of Stoic practices, not only through words but through actions. As we embody the calm, rational, and resilient traits promoted by Stoicism, the effectiveness of these practices becomes apparent not only to ourselves but also to others. Lastly, integrating Stoic practices into daily life poses its own set of challenges. The modern world is fast-paced and often emphasizes quick reactions and emotional expressions. To counter this, setting aside time each day for reflection, such as journaling or meditative practices, can anchor us in Stoic principles. This daily commitment turns abstract concepts into tangible actions, gradually weaving Stoicism into the fabric of our everyday lives. Overcoming these challenges requires a robust commitment to self-improvement and a deep understanding of Stoic philosophy. It's about embracing the process, knowing that each obstacle is an opportunity to practice and strengthen our Stoic virtues. By steadfastly applying these principles, we not only overcome the challenges, but also grow stronger and more capable with each step forward. Habit 7. Real-life applications. Consider a typical scenario at work. You've put your heart into a project, but during the presentation, a colleague interrupts with criticism that seems unfair. The immediate impulse might be to defend your work aggressively, allowing irritation or anger to dictate your response. However, applying Stoic principles, you could take a moment to pause, acknowledging your initial emotional response without acting on it. Instead of snapping back, you might then choose to address the criticism calmly, asking for specific feedback that could improve the project. This approach not only preserves professional relationships, but also enhances your reputation as someone who is composed and receptive to feedback, even under stress. Now imagine a personal situation such as a conflict with a partner or family member. Emotions can quickly escalate in familial settings, turning minor misunderstandings into major conflicts. A Stoic approach would involve recognizing the emotional triggers as they arise and consciously choosing to respond with understanding rather than reactivity. This might mean taking time to listen actively to the other person's concerns without immediately reacting or trying to solve the problem. Such a response promotes dialogue and understanding, helping to resolve conflicts in a way that strengthens relationships rather than weakening them. In another aspect of personal development, consider the challenge of self-discipline, such as maintaining a fitness routine or a diet. It's easy to give in to momentary impulses, skipping a workout because you feel tired or indulging in an unhealthy snack. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our long-term goals and values rather than short-term comforts. By applying Stoic discipline, you can remind yourself of the reasons behind your choices, reinforcing your willpower to act in accordance with your greater good rather than momentary desires. Moreover, Stoicism can profoundly impact our overall resilience and mental health. In times of crisis or sorrow, such as during a financial setback or the loss of a loved one, the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control, our responses, our values, our actions, becomes invaluable. While it's natural to feel grief or stress, Stoicism helps us navigate these emotions without letting them overwhelm us. To think, to enjoy, to love. For a creative, this privilege extends to the ability to imagine, to express, and to contribute something unique to the world. Gratitude grounds you in the present moment, helping you focus on the opportunities you have rather than the obstacles in your way. One of the most common barriers in the creative process is frustration, when ideas don't flow, when progress feels slow, or when results don't match your expectations. Gratitude allows you to shift your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. Instead of fixating on the challenges, you can appreciate the tools, skills, and inspiration you already possess. For example, if you're struggling with a project, pause to acknowledge the privilege of having the time and resources to create. This perspective doesn't eliminate difficulties, but it makes them feel more manageable. Another way gratitude enhances creativity is by reducing the weight of comparison. In a world where it's easy to measure your work against others, gratitude helps you focus on your unique journey. Seneca advised, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Instead of envying another person's success, practice gratitude for your own progress and potential. Recognize that your creative path is yours alone, and that every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Gratitude also fosters resilience in the face of setbacks. When rejection or failure strikes, it's natural to feel disheartened. But the Stoics teach us to reframe adversity as an opportunity for growth. Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." In creative terms, this means appreciating the lessons that challenges bring. A failed project might teach you new techniques or reveal an idea you hadn't considered. Gratitude helps you see these moments as stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Practicing gratitude doesn't have to be time-consuming. Start with simple daily reflections. At the end of each creative session, ask yourself, what went well today? What resources or opportunities am I grateful for? What skills have I developed through this process? Writing these reflections in a journal reinforces the habit of gratitude and helps you maintain a positive outlook. Another practice is to express gratitude for your creative process itself. The Stoics believed in honoring what is within your control, and your creative effort is entirely yours. Whether your work is praised, criticized, or ignored, the act of creating is an achievement in itself. Take a moment to thank yourself for showing up, for trying, and for continuing to grow. Gratitude can also be a source of inspiration. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you often uncover ideas and themes to explore in your work. For example, reflecting on meaningful relationships, memorable experiences, or even personal struggles can spark creative expression. These moments of gratitude connect you to your authentic voice, enriching your art with depth and sincerity. Lastly, share your gratitude with others. Whether it's thanking a mentor who guided you, acknowledging a peer who inspired you, or expressing appreciation to an audience who supports your work, gratitude strengthens connections and builds a supportive, creative community. The Stoics valued mutual respect and generosity, believing that gratitude fosters harmony and growth. Ask yourself, am I focusing on what I lack, or am I appreciating what I have? How can gratitude shift my perspective today? The creative process isn't just about producing work, it's about appreciating the journey. By cultivating gratitude, you find joy in the act of creating, resilience in the face of challenges, and inspiration in the everyday. As the Stoics teach, true wealth lies not in what you achieve, but in the gratitude you hold for the opportunities along the way. 10. Achieving creative freedom with a Stoic mindset. True creative freedom isn't about having endless time, resources, or opportunities. It's about liberating your mind from the barriers that hold you back. Fear of judgment, perfectionism, procrastination, and self-doubt can weigh heavily on your ability to create. A Stoic mindset, with its emphasis on self-mastery, detachment from external validation, and focus on the present, provides the tools to break free from these constraints and fully express your creative potential. The Stoics believed that freedom begins in the mind. Epictetus taught freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. For creatives, this means letting go of the outcomes you can't dictate, whether your work will be praised, sold, or even understood, and focusing instead on the effort and intention you bring to the process. When you free yourself from the need for external approval, you unlock the joy of creating for its own sake. One of the greatest barriers to creative freedom is the fear of failure. The Stoics remind us that failure isn't something to be feared, but embraced. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By reframing failure as a necessary part of growth, you allow yourself the freedom to experiment, take risks, and explore without the weight of perfectionism. Each misstep becomes a lesson, bringing you closer to mastery. Another key to creative freedom is detaching from comparisons. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to measure your work against others and feel inadequate. The Stoics advise focusing on your own path. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Instead of looking outward, look inward. What unique perspective do you bring? What drives your creative vision? By grounding yourself in your values, you free yourself from the pressure to conform or compete. Time is another constraint that often stifles creativity. We tell ourselves, "I'll create when I have more time," only to find that the perfect moment never comes. The Stoics remind us that time is fleeting and should be used wisely. Marcus Aurelius urged, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." For creatives, this translates to prioritizing your craft, even in small, consistent increments. Instead of waiting for ideal conditions, use the time you have now to create, no matter how limited it may seem. Procrastination is another common hurdle to creative freedom. The Stoics emphasized action as a remedy for stagnation. Epictetus advised, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Start with small, achievable tasks that build momentum. Whether it's sketching an idea, drafting a paragraph, or experimenting with a melody, taking action, however imperfect, frees you from the paralysis of overthinking. Stoic principles also teach the importance of presence. Creativity thrives when you're fully engaged in the moment, unburdened by worries about the past or future. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When you focus entirely on the task at hand, you enter a state of flow where ideas come naturally and time seems to disappear. Practice mindfulness as you create. Feel the texture of the paintbrush, hear the rhythm of the words, or sense the movement of your hands on an instrument. Presence transforms the act of creating into an experience of freedom and joy. Lastly, true creative freedom comes from embracing the process over the product. The Stoics believed in finding fulfillment in the effort itself, regardless of the outcome. Marcus Aurelius observed, "The fruit of this life is a good character and acts for the common good." For creatives, the fruit of your work isn't just the finished piece. It's the growth, insight, and satisfaction you gain along the way by focusing on the process. Stoic philosophy teaches us to maintain our composure in the face of such reactions. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." Stay calm, set boundaries, and don't let their tantrums dictate your decisions. Entitled individuals also lack gratitude, which is perhaps the most telling sign of their mindset. Even when they receive help or benefits, they treat it as something they were owed rather than a gesture of kindness. For instance, you might go out of your way to support them, and instead of thanking you, they barely acknowledge your effort or even expect more from you. Stoicism places immense value on gratitude as a key to happiness. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you do not have, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." Practicing gratitude not only helps you appreciate life, but also shields you from the entitlement of others. Number 8. They help only when it benefits them. Some people only offer help when there's something in it for them. At first it can be hard to notice, but over time you start to see a pattern. They'll step in when there's a clear personal gain, but when you need support, they suddenly become too busy or unavailable. It's as if their acts of kindness are just transactions. They help because it enhances their image, benefits them directly, or puts them in a position of power. This kind of self-interest can feel like a betrayal, especially when you realize that your well-being is only valuable to them when it serves their own goals. For instance, you might lend a hand to someone in need, only to find that when you're the one going through a tough time, they're nowhere to be found. They might offer excuses or just ignore your requests for help. It becomes clear that their help was more about building a favor bank for themselves than about genuine kindness. Stoicism teaches us to act with integrity regardless of whether there's a benefit to us. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have." True help comes from a place of selflessness, not self-interest. This transactional approach to helping others can extend to more subtle ways of manipulating situations. They might offer advice that seems helpful, but it's always with the caveat that you owe them something in return. For example, they might help you with a small task at work, but later expect you to cover for them or do something in exchange. Stoics value assistance that comes without strings attached. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Their help is an attempt to control the situation, but your power lies in choosing not to engage in that exchange. It's easy to get frustrated or even angry when you realize you're dealing with someone who only helps when it benefits them. But Stoicism encourages us to maintain our inner peace, no matter how selfish others might be. Instead of harboring resentment, focus on cultivating a generous spirit yourself without the need for anything in return. Seneca wrote, "No man can live happily who has regard to himself alone and transforms everything into a question of his own utility." Helping others is an opportunity to practice virtue, not a transaction to get something in return. Their behavior often creates a sense of imbalance in relationships. You may feel like you're constantly giving while they take, without ever offering anything that doesn't benefit them. For example, they might enjoy the perks of being your friend, but when it's time to offer support, they disappear. This imbalance can drain you emotionally, especially if you're someone who values mutual respect and reciprocity. In these situations, the Stoic approach would be to focus on what you can control, your own actions and responses, while accepting that some people may never offer the same level of kindness. Over time, this kind of behavior can lead you to re-evaluate your relationships. If you're always the one giving and they're only helping when there's something in it for them, it's important to recognize the dynamic and protect your energy. Stoicism teaches us to protect our peace and not allow others to dictate the terms of our relationships. As Marcus Aurelius put it, when you have the opportunity to benefit another person, do so with sincerity and without expecting anything in return. True generosity comes from a place of inner strength, not out of a desire for reciprocity. Number 9, they have many enemies. People who have a trail of enemies in their wake often show us the consequences of their actions, even if they don't realize it. These individuals may present themselves as charming and friendly on the surface, but underneath, they leave a path of damaged relationships, unspoken resentments, and unresolved conflicts. They may go on about how others have wronged them, or how they had to cut people off due to misunderstandings. But the truth is, when you consistently have problems with so many different people, the common denominator is usually you. These individuals often live in a world of blame. They accuse others of betrayal, but they never stop to ask why things keep falling apart around them. A friend of mine had someone in their life who was always pointing fingers at others for not understanding or supporting them. But when you looked closely, it was their own actions that were at the root of most conflicts. This person's inability to accept responsibility for their own part in things was a constant source of tension. Stoicism teaches us to take full responsibility for our actions, no matter how difficult it may be. As Epictetus said, we are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us. The moment we shift the focus to our own behavior, we regain control and clarity. People who have many enemies also tend to speak poorly about those they've fallen out with. Instead of reflecting on the situation, they trash talk former friends, colleagues, or acquaintances. For example, you might hear someone constantly recounting how they've been wronged by every person they've ever worked with, or how no one ever understands them. This constant narrative of being the victim reflects a refusal to see things from other perspectives, and it often comes at the expense of their own growth. Stoicism reminds us to remain calm and composed in these situations. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Instead of engaging in their petty squabbles, take the higher road by practicing empathy and understanding, even if you don't agree with the person's behavior. One of the hardest things to do is to watch someone behave in a way that causes constant conflict, and then act surprised when they're isolated or surrounded by enemies. Their tendency to burn bridges can eventually lead to loneliness, and they may try to convince themselves that it's everyone else's fault. But in truth, their lack of self-reflection and their refusal to take responsibility for their actions are what perpetuate the cycle. In Stoicism, we are taught to focus on what is in our control, particularly our own actions. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." It's easy to get caught up in someone else's narrative, but it's important to stay grounded in your own truth and not get lost in the drama they create. These individuals often fail to learn from their mistakes. They repeat the same patterns, burning bridges, speaking ill of others, and distancing themselves from anyone who challenges their behavior. And because they don't learn from past conflicts, they're doomed to repeat them. A family member of mine went through cycles of friend groups, only to end up alone time and time again. Every time they'd start a new relationship, whether professional or personal, the cycle would repeat. They'd create tension, become defensive, and then cut ties, convinced that everyone else was to blame. Stoicism teaches us that growth comes from self-examination, not from avoiding uncomfortable truths. As Epictetus said, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. By confronting our own mistakes, we can break free from cycles of conflict and start building healthier, more constructive relationships. Number 10. They thrive on hate. There are some people who seem to live in a constant state of anger and resentment. It's as if hatred fuels them, and without it, they wouldn't know who they are. These individuals often thrive in environments where negativity is rampant. They focus on flaws, criticize others endlessly, and can't seem to find anything good to say about anyone. Their minds are consumed by the faults and wrongs of others, and they take pride in pointing out imperfections wherever they see them. How often have you gone through your day only to be blindsided by something you didn't expect? A sudden problem at work, an unexpected obstacle in your personal life, or an emotional setback that throws you off course. The truth is, life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, challenges are inevitable. But here's the Stoic secret to making things happen. Prepare for challenges in advance, and you'll be ready to face whatever comes your way. The Stoic practice of Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils, teaches us to mentally prepare for obstacles before they arise. Instead of being caught off guard or overwhelmed by setbacks, we anticipate them and think through how we would respond. By doing this, we build emotional resilience and the mental clarity needed to handle difficulties calmly and strategically. It might sound counterintuitive at first. Why would you spend time thinking about challenges and setbacks? Wouldn't that make you anxious or focused on negative outcomes? But Premeditatio Malorum isn't about dwelling on worst-case scenarios. Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This wisdom highlights the importance of simplifying our lives and avoiding the trap of chasing after more than we truly need. By practicing moderation, you create space for consistency, focus, and mental clarity. Instead of exhausting yourself with endless striving or giving into indulgence, you create a sustainable rhythm that allows you to pursue your goals without burning out. You take the time to rest, recharge, and maintain your energy so that you can perform at your best consistently day in and day out. The key to balance is recognizing that everything has its place: work, rest, productivity, relaxation, And each of these needs to be honored without tipping into excess. When you overwork, you burn out. When you overindulge, you feel guilty or sluggish. But when you find balance, you're able to bring your best self to everything you do and still maintain your mental and emotional well-being. So, how do you start practicing balance and moderation? Begin by recognizing areas of your life where you tend to overdo it. Whether it's work, food, social media, or something else, start setting boundaries for yourself. Give yourself time to rest. Ensure that you're prioritizing the things that truly matter, while also allowing space for relaxation and rejuvenation. By embracing balance, you'll find that you not only achieve more, but you do so with greater peace and energy. Remember, the middle path is often the strongest path. Embrace moderation and let it guide you toward a more sustainable, fulfilling way of living. 10. Memento Mori. Act like time is running out. How many times have you put something off, thinking, I'll get to it tomorrow, or there's plenty of time ahead? We all tend to procrastinate, assuming that we have endless time to accomplish our goals, fix our mistakes, or pursue our passions. But here's the truth, time is precious, and we're never guaranteed more of it. The 10th habit for making things happen is to embrace the concept of memento mori. Remember that you will die. This isn't a morbid reflection, but a powerful reminder that our time on this earth is limited. The Stoics believed that by reflecting on our mortality, we are reminded of the urgency to live a life of purpose, to make every moment count, and to stop wasting time on things that don't truly matter. Memento Mori reminds us that time is our most valuable resource. Each day is an opportunity that should not be taken for granted. Yet how often do we delay taking action, thinking we have more time, only to realize later that the years have slipped by? The reality is that life can be unpredictable, and we often don't realize how quickly time passes until it's too late. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, famously reflected on his own mortality in his meditations. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." By acknowledging that life is short, we begin to approach each day with a sense of urgency and focus. We stop procrastinating and start living intentionally, making the most of every opportunity. Embracing memento mori isn't about dwelling on death in a negative way. It's about recognizing that time is limited, which gives us the motivation to act now. When we remember that life could end at any moment, we are inspired to pursue what truly matters. We take action, we push past our fears, and we stop waiting for the perfect moment to start making progress toward our goals. Every day is an opportunity to live with purpose, to take steps toward what we want to achieve, and to leave behind a legacy that matters. So how can you incorporate memento mori into your life today? Start by reflecting on your own mortality. Acknowledge that life is fleeting and use that knowledge to fuel your actions. Ask yourself, what do I want to accomplish today? What will I regret not doing? Let the awareness of time's passing motivate you to take immediate, purposeful action. When you live as if time is running out, you become more focused, more intentional, and more driven. You stop putting off the things that matter and start making things happen now. Memento Mori is a wake-up call, an invitation to live fully with urgency and purpose, knowing that every moment is a gift. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today because time is precious and you don't want to miss out on the opportunity to make your life count. 11. Gratitude as a power move. In a world where we are constantly striving for more success, more possessions, more validation, it's easy to overlook the incredible power of gratitude. We often focus on what we lack, what we don't have yet, or what we wish were different. But here's the Stoic secret. Gratitude is not only a way to acknowledge the good in our lives, it is a transformative force that attracts more of what we want. The 11th habit for making things happen is practicing gratitude as a power move. Gratitude is often seen as a passive emotion, but in Stoicism, it's a proactive tool for cultivating inner strength and attracting abundance. Gratitude, when we focus on the things we already have, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to peace. This shift doesn't just improve our emotional state, it enhances our ability to take action, to move forward, and to create the life we want. Think about it. When you focus on the things you lack or what hasn't worked out yet, it's easy to feel stuck, dissatisfied, or discouraged. But when you shift your focus to the things you are grateful for, whether it's your health, your relationships, your experiences, or even the simple joys of everyday life, you begin to notice that you have more than enough. Gratitude grounds you in the present and allows you to see your life through a lens of abundance rather than one of deficiency. The Stoics understood the power of gratitude deeply. Marcus Aurelius, for example, made daily gratitude a part of his routine. In his meditations, he reflected on the many things he was grateful for, despite the immense challenges he faced as emperor. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Gratitude for the Stoics wasn't just about acknowledging the good, it was about reminding themselves of the privileges they had despite the challenges. It grounded them in the present moment and strengthened their resilience. Gratitude also works as a catalyst for action. When you recognize and appreciate the things you have, your skills, your relationships, your resources, it fuels you to take further action. Instead of focusing on the gaps or limitations in your life, you recognize the tools at your disposal and feel empowered to use them to create more success, more peace, and more joy. How can you make gratitude a power move in your life? Start by acknowledging 3 things you're grateful for each morning. These could be big, like your family or health, or small, like a moment of calm in the morning or a warm cup of coffee. Write them down or simply reflect on them before you begin your day. Notice how it shifts your energy and your mindset. You may find that your day unfolds with more clarity, positivity, and even opportunities you hadn't seen before. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good practice, it's a powerful tool for manifesting more of what you want in life. By acknowledging and appreciating the abundance you already have, you open yourself up to receiving even more. Gratitude strengthens your mindset, enriches your emotional resilience, and aligns your actions with your deeper desires. So today, practice gratitude as a power move. Recognize what you already have, and use that recognition to fuel your actions and decisions. The more you focus on the positive, the more positivity you'll attract. And soon you'll find yourself making things happen, not because you wished for them, but because you took deliberate, grateful action. Own your role in life. How many times have you found yourself shirking responsibility, putting things off, or avoiding tasks because they felt too difficult or overwhelming? It's easy to want to avoid discomfort, to wait for the right moment, or to hope that someone else will step in and take charge. But here's the Stoic truth. Everything you do matters. Your actions, your decisions, and your responsibility are what shape the world around you. Own your role in life and success will follow. The 12th habit for making things happen is embracing your duty and responsibility. Stoicism teaches that life is not just about seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. It's about recognizing our duties and taking ownership of them. Whether it's our responsibilities in our career, family, relationships, or personal development, owning our role means acting with integrity and commitment, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, constantly reminded himself of his duty to his people and his role in the world. He wrote in his meditations, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." By focusing on his duty, Marcus kept his mind fixed on what was in his control, his actions, his role, and his contributions to the greater good. Rather than being distracted by things outside of his control, he remained anchored in the responsibilities he had been entrusted with. When you embrace your duty and responsibility, you stop waiting for things to magically align or for external circumstances to change. Instead, you step up, take action, and fulfill your role with purpose and determination. This is the true path to empowerment. The more you take ownership of your responsibilities, the more control you gain over your own life. You stop being passive and become an active participant in your own success. This doesn't mean you have to take on the world or do everything yourself. It means that you acknowledge your part in the grand scheme of things and take pride in fulfilling it. Duty is about taking responsibility for your actions, regardless of how big or small they may seem. It's about owning your choices and decisions and following through on them, even when it feels hard. For example, if you're working on a project, don't wait for the perfect moment or for someone else to take charge. Own your responsibility to complete it with excellence, even if you face setbacks. If you're in a relationship, take responsibility for your role in building trust and understanding, even if it's uncomfortable at times. Every aspect of life is an opportunity to fulfill your duty, and by doing so, you move closer to achieving your goals and finding fulfillment. To implement this habit, start by identifying your duties in your life. What are the roles you need to embrace? What responsibilities have you been avoiding or putting off? Take one small step today to own that role and fulfill your duty. By doing so, you'll gain a sense of purpose, control, and strength. Because when you own your responsibilities, you take control of your destiny. Remember, success doesn't come from waiting for the perfect conditions. It comes from owning your role in life, fulfilling your duties, and taking deliberate action. 13. Universal connection. You're part of something bigger. In the hustle and bustle of daily life, it's easy to become consumed with our own challenges, ambitions, and problems. We often focus on our individual goals and desires, sometimes forgetting that we're part of something much larger. But here's the Stoic insight. 13. Universal connection. Everything we do is interconnected. We're all part of a greater whole, and our actions ripple out into the world in ways we might not always see. The 13th habit for making things happen is recognizing your universal connection, the understanding that your actions are connected to something bigger than yourself. Whether it's the people you interact with, the work you do, or the way you impact your community, every action you take contributes to the larger web of life. This awareness helps us realize that we are not isolated beings, but interconnected with others and with the world around us. The Stoics understood that we are part of a universal order. Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, often reminded himself of the importance of aligning his actions with the greater good. He wrote, "What is not good for the hive cannot be good for the bee." This insight is about recognizing that when we act in harmony with the collective, we act in alignment with our true nature and purpose. By contributing to the well-being of others, we contribute to the well-being of ourselves. Think about it. When you help someone else, whether it's a colleague, a family member, or even a stranger, you're not just helping them in that moment. Your action creates a ripple effect, fostering goodwill and cooperation that can spread far beyond that individual. When you contribute to your community or take responsibility in your role at work, you're not only impacting those directly involved, but you're also contributing to the larger system that sustains everything around you. This doesn't mean that we should neglect our own personal growth or ambitions, but it does mean that we should always act with the awareness that we are part of something bigger. Every choice, every decision, every action we take can have an impact on others, and that impact can be positive or negative. By recognizing our interconnectedness, we begin to act with more integrity, responsibility, and consideration for the well-being of others. Universal connection also teaches us humility. When we realize that we are just one part of a much larger whole, we stop seeing ourselves as isolated or superior. Instead, we see our place in the world as part of a grander design, a design where our actions contribute to the collective good. This awareness helps us act with more compassion, empathy, and generosity, knowing that the energy we put into the world comes back to us in ways we might not fully understand. To incorporate this habit into your life, take a moment each day to reflect on how your actions contribute to the larger world around you. Ask yourself, how can I serve others today? How does my work contribute to the greater good? Whether it's helping a colleague, being present for a loved one, or making mindful choices that benefit the environment, always remember that your actions are part of the larger web of life. By embracing your universal connection, you stop thinking only about your individual success and start seeing your life as part of a larger mission. A mission that benefits not just yourself, but everyone around you. 14. Train your mind like an athlete. Your mindset determines what you achieve. We often spend hours training our bodies, improving our physical strength, endurance, and abilities. But what about the most important muscle of all, our mind? Just like an athlete dedicates time to physical training, the greatest achievers dedicate time to training their mindset. Your mindset shapes how you approach challenges, how you handle setbacks, and how you ultimately succeed. The 14th habit for making things happen is training your mind like an athlete. Stoicism teaches us that mental strength, like physical strength, is built through consistent practice, focus, and discipline. Your mind is your most powerful tool, and the more you invest in developing it, the greater your capacity to navigate life's challenges with confidence and resilience. Think about how athletes approach their training. They don't expect to perform at their best without putting in the work. Every day they train, pushing their limits and honing their skills. They know that achieving peak performance requires constant practice, focus, and dedication. The same goes for your mind. If you want to cultivate mental strength, resilience, and focus, you need to train your mind regularly. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself of the importance of mental discipline. He recognized that the quality of our thoughts directly impacts the quality of our lives. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Marcus Aurelius, in other words, the way you think, the way you interpret your circumstances, and the way you choose to respond to challenges directly affect your ability to succeed. By training your mind, you equip yourself to handle anything life throws at you with grace and wisdom. One way to start training your mind is through daily reflection and mindfulness. Just as an athlete works on their form, you can work on your mindset by focusing on your thoughts. Are they positive, focused, and aligned with your goals, or are they negative, reactive, and driven by emotion? When you become aware of your thought patterns, you can intentionally shift your mindset toward one that supports growth, resilience, and achievement. In addition to reflection, mental training can include practices like meditation, journaling, or mindfulness exercises. These practices help you develop focus, clarity, and emotional regulation, skills that will serve you in every area of your life. Just as physical training increases your endurance, mental training increases your ability to stay calm under pressure, to make better decisions, and to persist through difficult times. Another powerful way to train your mind is to constantly challenge it. Put yourself in situations that push your mental limits, whether it's solving a complex problem, learning a new skill, or facing a personal challenge. Thanks for watching. Just like lifting weights makes your muscles stronger, mental challenges make your mind more resilient. The more you challenge your mind, the more capable it becomes. Ultimately, your mindset is the foundation of your success. When you train your mind with the same dedication that an athlete trains their body, you unlock your true potential. A strong mind allows you to face adversity with confidence, learn from setbacks, and continue moving forward toward your goals, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. So start today by committing to train your mind like an athlete. Dedicate time every day to strengthening your mental resilience, clarity, and focus. Over time, you'll find that your mindset becomes a powerful force that helps you make things happen, achieve your goals, and thrive, no matter the challenges you face. 15. Use logic over emotion. Logos. Make smart moves. How often do we find ourselves making decisions based on emotions, whether it's reacting out of anger, fear, frustration, or excitement? While emotions are natural and important, they don't always lead us to the best decisions. Emotional reactions can cloud our judgment, making us act impulsively and sometimes regret our choices later. The Stoics, however, believe that to truly take control of our lives and make things happen, we must prioritize logic. The 15th habit for making things happen is to use logic over emotion to guide your decisions and actions with reason, clarity, and wisdom, rather than being swept away by emotional impulses. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or ignoring them. It means acknowledging them, but choosing not to let them dictate your behavior. Stoicism teaches us that logos, the power of reason, is what leads us to the most thoughtful and effective actions. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, often spoke about the importance of separating ourselves from our emotional reactions and applying reason in our decision-making. He said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This statement highlights the idea that our actions must be guided by our rational values and goals, not by fleeting emotions. Imagine a situation where you're faced with criticism, a setback, or an unexpected challenge. The natural emotional reaction might be to feel defensive, upset, or discouraged. But if you choose to respond with logos, with calm reasoning, then you can step back and assess the situation objectively. You'll be able to ask yourself, what is the best course of action here? What can I learn from this? How can I make the most of this challenge? The key to logos is not just about thinking logically in high-pressure situations, it's about training your mind to approach life with rationality and objectivity as a default mode. By practicing this, you avoid reacting to every emotional impulse that arises and instead make decisions that align with your long-term goals and values. This habit becomes especially important when you face obstacles. Instead of reacting with frustration or anger, apply logos to find practical solutions. Ask yourself, what's within my control? What is the most reasonable course of action? By doing this, you prevent emotions from taking over and become more capable of making smart, strategic decisions. Stoic philosophy also encourages us to see life's challenges with a rational perspective, recognizing that setbacks and difficulties are not personal attacks, but opportunities for growth and learning. When we approach adversity with reason, rather than allowing our emotions to overwhelm us, we develop resilience and clarity. So how can you apply this principle today? Start by recognizing when your emotions are taking over and consciously deciding to pause and think. Challenge yourself to approach decisions with a calm, clear mind, using logic to guide your actions. Whether it's responding to criticism, managing a difficult situation, or simply making daily decisions, choosing logos will help you make more informed, thoughtful moves. By training yourself to prioritize logic over emotion, you'll find that you make smarter decisions, experience less stress, and feel more in control of your outcomes. The more you embrace logos, the more you'll realize how powerful your rational mind is in shaping the life you want to create. As we conclude today's episode, remember that making things happen in your life is not about waiting for the perfect circumstances or relying on luck. It's about mastering the inner principles that give you control over your reactions, decisions, and actions. The Stoics taught us that true power lies in how we approach life, how we embrace our fate, how we focus on what we can control, and how we continuously strive for personal growth. By incorporating these 15 habits into your life, you build a foundation of emotional resilience, wisdom, and purposeful action. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our long-term goals and values rather than short-term comforts. By applying Stoic discipline, you can remind yourself of the reasons behind your choices, reinforcing your willpower to act in accordance with your greater good rather than momentary desires. Moreover, Stoicism can profoundly impact our overall resilience and mental health. In times of crisis or sorrow, such as during a financial setback or the loss of a loved one, the Stoic practice of focusing on what we can control, our responses, our values, our actions, becomes invaluable. While it's natural to feel grief or stress, Stoicism helps us navigate these emotions without letting them overwhelm us. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things. Thus death is nothing terrible, else it would have appeared so to Socrates. But the terror consists in our notion of death, that it is terrible. When therefore we are hindered or disturbed or grieved, let us never impute it to others, but to ourselves, that is, to our own views. It is the action of an uninstructed person to reproach others for his own misfortunes, of one entering upon instruction to reproach himself, and of one perfectly instructed to reproach neither others or himself. They lose the day in expectation of the night, and the night in fear of the dawn. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Live a good life. If there are gods and they are just, then they will not care how devout you have been, but will welcome you based on the virtues you have lived by. If there are gods but unjust, then you should not want to worship them. If there are no gods, then you will be gone, but will have lived a noble life that will live on in the memories of your loved ones. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. For what prevents us from saying that the happy life is to have a mind that is free, lofty, fearless, and steadfast, a mind that is placed beyond the reach of fear, beyond the reach of desire, that counts virtue the only good, baseness the only evil, and all else but a worthless mass of things, which come and go without increasing or diminishing the highest good, and neither subtracting any part from the happy life, nor add any part to it. A man thus grounded must, whether he wills or not, necessarily be attended by constant cheerfulness and a joy that is deep and issues from deep within, since he finds delight in his own resources, and desires no joys greater than his inner joys. When someone wrongs you, ask yourself what made him do it. Once you understand his concept of good and evil, you'll feel sorry for him and cease to either be amazed or angry. If his concept is similar to yours, then you will be bound to forgive him, since you would have acted as he did in similar circumstances. But if you do not share his ideas of good and evil, then you should find it easier to overlook the wrongs of someone who is confused and in a moral muddle. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him. Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself. Don't seek to have events happen as you wish. Learn but wish them to happen as they do happen, and all will be well with you. God has entrusted me with myself. No man is free who is not master of himself. A man should live so that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things. Know you not that a good man does nothing for appearance sake, but for the sake of having done right? If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich. All cruelty springs from weakness. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. A gift consists not in what is done or given, but in the intention of the giver or doer. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. You live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already gone by, you take no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply, though all the while that day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself to make it just and holy. Begin each day by telling yourself, I shall be met with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all of them due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil. But for my part, I have long perceived the nature of good and its nobility, the nature of evil and its meanness, and also the nature of the culprit himself, who is my brother. Not in the physical sense, but as a fellow creature similarly endowed with reason and a share of the divine. Therefore, none of those things can injure me, for nobody can implicate me in what is degrading, neither can I be angry with my brother or fall foul of him. For he and I were born to work together, like a man's 2 hands, feet, or eyelids, or the upper and lower rows of his teeth. To obstruct each other is against nature's law, and what is irritation or aversion but a form of obstruction? If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, he was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone. It seems to often do more harm than good to live in resentment and disdain for the world around us. The world we find ourselves in, its past and present, its people, and the rise and fall of its cultures and practices are all the way they are. They are not the way we personally want them to be. When we resist the reality of the world around us and instead project onto it our expectation about how the world should be, we are often met with a certain level of internal resistance. Resistance that can cause us to suffer, and the greater the distance between reality and our expectation, the greater the resistance. The world is what it is. It is not what we expect it to be. Learn to accept life. Learn to love fate and all but it brings. This is the Stoic principle of amor fati, to love fate. After all, fate has given us the ability to live and to experience life. Unfortunately, amor fati often gets confused with a passive, defeatist acceptance of the world around us. To accept the wrongs of the world and to lie down as we observe the passing of things we don't agree with, or the wrongdoing we see being committed. But I believe this is a misunderstanding of the Stoic principle. Acceptance of reality does not mean to submit to it. It is simply learning the ability to see it objectively and accepting that in this moment that is the state of the world. It is the ability to look at the things around us clearly, not through the lens of our own bias and expectations. In doing so, we are better able to understand the situations around us. the reality of the situations we find ourselves in, unblinded by the lens of our own bias and expectations. We then are able to more clearly understand what is within our control and what is not, and then look to leverage that control to effect change first in ourselves, and then, if possible, in the world around us for the better. Whenever you feel anger towards a person, think of what led them to behave in such a way. It is all too easy for us to pass judgment from our own perspective, but it is a very different thing to try and put yourself in the shoes of the wrongdoer and try to understand what hardship they have gone through, what burden they might carry, or how life has treated them leading up to the moment which you found so offensive. Most people are trying to do the best they can with what they have. And while we all are responsible for our actions, there is often a line to draw between a person's experience and their behavior. To me, one of the great ironies of life is a man's desire to find comfort, to remove all sources of hardship and suffering in favor of comfort when applied to our core needs like food, shelter, security, and companionship. Comfort and stability to me do make sense, but when it exceeds to every corner of our lives, comfort and the removal of all hardship seems to me to bring with it its own brand of hardship. Instead of putting ourselves into the unknown, expanding our comfort zone and learning to deal with the adversity that comes with it, excessive comfort seems to risk the opposite. It erodes our resilience to hardship, can breed purposelessness, apathy, sloth, and the host of limitations that come with a shrinking comfort circle. It seems to me that one of the lesser thought of challenges of modern life is to balance the comfort that comes when our base needs are met with the voluntary hardship that is needed to make sure that comfort doesn't soften our resolve. The ancient Stoics advocated voluntary hardship. Marcus Aurelius chose to sleep on an uncomfortable bed. Seneca chose to swim in rivers in the dead of winter. Both men were all too aware of the risks of becoming too comfortable and the benefits of adding discomfort to one's life. Day to day, we often distance ourselves from death, often thinking that it is something that happens to others or to us many, many years from now. But the truth is that death is at our shoulder every day, an ever-present fact of life. Today may very well be your last. Living with this as a reminder brings with it a deep gratitude for many of the things we take for granted, knowing that whatever it is may be one of the last few times we are able to experience it, whether that be sound of leaves in the wind, the company of those we love, or simply the taste of good food. To the Stoics, this was the practice of Memento Mori, the practice of remembering death. The nature of life is change from the very first shifts of the universe. The most simple of elements gathered together to produce clouds and then solid bodies. Bodies that began to form the very first ingredients for life. Those ingredients formed life, the circle of birth and death, until eventually they came together in the exact configuration needed to create you and me. Like the beginning, the peak, and the crashing end of a wave, our lives are simply part of a grander cycle. We are formed, we experience, and we end. And with our end comes the opportunity for the reconfiguration of our atoms, to allow another to come and go, and to enjoy the experience of life, and so on forever. The nature of the entire universe is change, from the very big to the very small. Lives are often not made better in the accomplishments of lofty goals or the collection of expensive things, so much as they are improved by the small day-to-day changes of one's habits, the decisions to wake up a little earlier, get out of the house a little more often, go for a run, read that book that's been gathering dust, or try to be more present in the company of the things and people we love. While of course great achievements do contribute to it, habits built over time, not short bursts of joy, are often the paving stones to a happier life. There is a delicate balance to be had when looking to the future and the past. The future is necessary for long-term planning and preparation for events that seem likely to happen. However, look too long towards the horizon, and it's easy to let life slip by and miss the very thing you've spent all that time planning and preparing for. Similarly, the past can be used as a tool to learn, but looking back to what was may also mean that you missed the life into which you've taken all the lessons of the past. The future can be used to plan and prepare. The past can be used to learn, but life only happens in the present. When I meet death, as we all must do, the time and place will be largely outside of my control. If tomorrow, then I will die tomorrow, and if a year from now or 20 years from now, then I will meet it then. It is in the very nature of a living thing to die, regardless of how much we resist it. However, for now I am alive, so I will put to use what is within my control and decide what to do with the time that is given to me. I am not soothing you or making light of your misfortune. If fate can be overcome by tears, let us bring tears to bear upon it. Let every day be passed in mourning, every night be spent in sorrow instead of sleep. Let your breast be torn by your own hands, your very face attacked by them, and every kind of cruelty be practiced by your grief, if it will profit you. But if the dead cannot be brought back to life, however much we may beat our breasts, if destiny remains fixed and immovable forever, not to be changed by any sorrow however great, and death does not loose his hold on anything that he has once taken away, then let our futile grief be brought to an end. Let us then steer our own course, and no longer allow ourselves to be driven to leeward by the force of our misfortune. He is a sorry pilot who lets the waves wring his rudder from his grasp, who leaves the sails to fly loose and abandons the ship to the storm. But he who boldly grasps the helm and clings to it until the sea closes over him deserves praise. Nothing, to my way of thinking, is a better proof of a well-ordered mind than a man's ability to stop just where he is and pass some time in his own company. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. I begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. All Hellenistic schools seem to define wisdom in approximately the same terms, first and foremost as a state of perfect peace of mind. From this viewpoint, philosophy appears as a remedy for human worries, anguish, and misery brought about for the cynics by social constraints and conventions, for the Epicureans by the quest for false pleasures, for the Stoics by the pursuit of pleasure and egotistic self-interest, and for the skeptics by false opinions. Whether or not they lay claim to the Socratic heritage, all Hellenistic philosophers agreed with Socrates that human beings are plunged into misery, anguish, and evil because they exist in ignorance. Evil is to be found not within things, but in the value judgments which people bring to bear upon things. People can therefore be cured of their ills only if they are persuaded to change their value judgments. And in this sense, all these philosophies wanted to be therapeutic. Simplicity, patience, compassion. These three are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. Taoism is the art of being in the world, for it deals with the present ourselves. It is in us that God meets with nature, and yesterday parts from tomorrow. The present is the moving infinity, the legitimate sphere of the relative. Relativity seeks adjustment. Adjustment is art. The art of life lies in a constant readjustment to our surroundings. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Let your eyes see what they see, not what others want you to see. Let your ears hear what they naturally hear, not what others want you to hear. Let your mouth speak your mind freely, and not be constrained by other people's approval or disapproval. Let your mind think what it wants to think, and not let other people's demands dictate your thoughts. If your senses and your mind are not allowed to do what they want to do naturally, you are denying them their rights. When you cannot think, sense, feel, or act freely, then your body and mind are injured. Break these oppressions and you will cultivate life. Be careful what you water your dreams with. Water them with worry and fear, and you will produce weeds that choke the life from your dreams. Water them with optimism and solutions, and you will cultivate success. Always be on the lookout for ways to turn a problem into an opportunity for success. Always be on the lookout for ways to nurture your dream. Strength should always be complemented by softness. If you resist too much, you will break. Thus, the strong person knows when to use strength and when to yield, and good fortune and disaster depend on whether you know how and when to yield. Those who do not know how to suffer are the worst off. There are times when the only thing we can do is to bear our troubles until a better day. To solve a problem, you need to remove the cause, not the symptom. To know and to think we know not is the crown. To not know and to think we know is the affliction. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. If a branch is too rigid, it will break. Resist and you will perish. Know how to yield and you will survive. Only he who has no use for the empire is fit to be entrusted with it. At the center of your being you have the answer. You know who you are and you know what you want. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally forward into whatever way they like. Kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in thinking creates profoundness. Kindness in giving creates love. A person with a mind is bound to be filled with conceptions. These conceptions prevent him from knowing things directly, so a person with a mind shall never really know. Trying to explain Zen is like trying to catch wind in a box. The moment you close the lid, it ceases to be wind and in time becomes stagnant air. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent on arriving. When you are content to simply be yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. The fact is that those who do not see themselves, but who see others, who fail to get a grasp of themselves, but who grasp others, take possessions of what others have but fail to possess themselves. They are attracted to what others enjoy, but fail to find enjoyment in themselves. If you play a game where scrap pieces of glass are at stake, you will play skillfully. If your expensive belt buckle is at stake, you'll start to get clumsy. If it's your money that's at stake, you'll fumble. It's not that you've lost your skill, it's because you're so flustered by things happening outside that you've lost your calmness inside, lose your stillness, and you will fail in everything you do. A man with outward courage dares to die. A man with inner courage dares to live. A man like this will not go where he has no will to go, will not do what he has no mind to do. Though the world might praise him and say he had really found something, he would look unconcerned and never turn his head. Though the world might condemn him and say he has lost something, he would look serene and pay no heed. The praise and blame of the world are no loss or gain to him. Things joined by profit when pressed by misfortune and danger will cast each other aside. Let your mind wander in simplicity. Blend your spirit with the vastness, follow along with things the way they are, and make no room for personal views. Then the world will be governed.